Palestine, the Israeli occupation army continues with its indiscriminate attacks against the civilian population of the Gaza Strip, killing dozens of people during the last hours. Local media reported that several casualties were recorded after fighter jets bombed a house in Jabalia camp north of Gaza. Another attack targeted a shelter school in the same area, leaving 8 civilians wounded. On Sunday night, another 10 people were killed after the bombing of a house in Beit Lahia. The genocide perpetrated by Israel continues despite the UN Security Council resolutions for an immediate ceasefire and International Court of Justice directives urging measures to prevent genocide and to relieve the appalling humanitarian situation in Gaza. And the Israeli genocidal forces hit the occupied West Bank, annihilating at least 4 people. Israeli forces launched a drone on Sirtown near Jenin on Sunday, bringing about the 4 deaths. In this regard, the Palestinian Health Ministry detailed that the fatal victims were aged from 23 to 35 years old. Moreover, the official Palestinian Wafa news agency detailed that after the attack, a large group of Israeli soldiers moved into the area to take over the nearby olive groves. In all, at least 780 Palestinians have been killed in the occupied West Bank, adding to the Palestinian death toll of 44,429 since the onset of the genocide in October 2023.
In the morning, the planes came and started bombing this rugged area in which we are located. Shortly after that, the army stormed the entire area. They declared it a closed military zone.
In Palestine, the Islamic resistance movement Hamas called for the creation of an international committee to investigate Israel for using banned weapons in Gaza. In a statement, the movement highlighted the horrifying testimonies of citizens and doctors in the north of the coastal enclave, which has been suffering from a massive operation by Israeli forces for almost 2 months, citing cases of attacks with munitions that caused the vaporization of bodies, said to be a sign of the use of prohibited weapons. In this regard, Hamas called on the international community, especially the United Nations, to form a working group to analyze the issue on the ground and address the widespread violations of international law committed against unarmed civilians. Arab leaders demanded Monday an immediate halt to the Israeli attacks on the Palestinian people during the 45th session of the Gulf Cooperation Council held in Kuwait. In an official statement, the GCC leaders underscored their strong support for the Palestinian cause and its sovereignty over all Palestinian territories occupied since June 1967. They further urged for establishing an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. In this regard, the Council's Secretary General Yassim al-Budaiwi stressed the need for the international community to take steps on working comprehensively to achieve an immediate and permanent ceasefire.
The Supreme Council called for an end to the killings and collective punishment in Gaza, the displacement of the population, and the destruction of civilian facilities and infrastructure, including health facilities, schools, and places of worship, in clear violation of international law and international humanitarian law. The Council urged for meddling in to safeguard civilians, stop the war, and sponsor serious negotiations to reach sustainable solutions.
Likewise, the leader of the Gulf Cooperation Council condemned the constant Israeli aggressions toward Lebanon.
The leaders of the GCC countries condemned the ongoing Israeli aggression toward Lebanon and warned against the aftermaths of keeping up and broadening the conflict, which will lead to dire consequences for the regional peoples and international peace and security.
In addition, the Secretary General praised the temporary ceasefire agreement in Lebanon, expressing his will for this to be a step closer to the end of the conflict.
The Supreme Council welcomed the temporary ceasefire agreement in Lebanon, and the entity looked forward to it being a step toward stopping the war, the withdrawal of Israel from Lebanese territory, the implementation of Security Council Resolution 1701, and the return of the displaced and immigrants to their homes. The leaders expressed their full solidarity with the brotherly Lebanese people, recalling the efforts of the State of Kuwait and the GCC Initiative on Lebanon.